The family of the man shot on OU's campus speaks out today. A survivor of domestic violence shares her story in court. And clear skies turn stormy today. Our weather team has the forecast for severe weather chances this week. This is OU Nightly. Hello, thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Kolby Terrell.
And I'm Jessie Klinger. Tonight we begin with an update on the shooting that occurred over family weekend right here on campus.
OU Nightly's Kaleigh Tinglestad is live at the county courthouse where a group rallied today for more information about what happened to the victim.
Many gathered outside of the Cleveland County Courthouse asking for answers following the shooting on the corner of Lindsay and Elm.
There are many pieces of the puzzle missing, which leaves us long on questions and short on answers. What do we want it?
The family and other supporters wanted to voice their demands for the district attorney of Cleveland County on how the case was handled. With the confusion surrounding the incident, there are two sides to the story.
First, Shed never punched the driver, nor did he initiate any kind of physical violence against him. Second, the killer was never approached by this young man. In fact, this young man never even approached the car door to open the car door.
Had been yelling, had approached his vehicle in an aggressive manner and began to swing at the driver who had his windows rolled down. The driver had his 10-year-old son in the back seat. At the point in time that he was approaching the vehicle.
The family listed demands, including the immediate resignation of District Attorney Greg Mashburn. Following the press conference, the advocates walked into the courthouse to the District Attorney's office, requesting to speak with Mashburn. Mashburn has scheduled to meet with the family next week.
Bring him out! Bring him out!
Citizen who was within his rights under the law to do what he did. I hate for the family that they feel like they're not getting their questions answered. I am here to do that. I want them to know the truth.
Well, the family says they're ready to speak with the district attorney, but says they will not stop fighting until they have their answers.
Thanks, Kaleigh. Arguments for the Castro Huerta case took place earlier today. Gaylord News' Pepper Purpura was present and spoke to the governor about the case.
Arguments for the case debating if tribes can prosecute non-Native people for crimes against Native Americans was heard by the Supreme Court. Oklahoma believes they have jurisdiction, but the tribes believe this infringes on their sovereignty.
The state of Oklahoma should be allowed to prosecute those crimes alongside the federal government.
The justices pressed Oklahoma on the rule established by the General Crimes Act, which states the federal court has jurisdiction in Native-related offenses. Afterward, Governor Stitt expressed concern about the ability of tribes to prosecute.
They don't have the resources to prosecute crimes. Their own Department of Justice has asked for more money, and they've made the case to the federal government that they simply do not have the resources to prosecute anything beyond a murder, rape, some of the most violent crimes. They're just going unprosecuted in eastern Oklahoma.
The court will now consider the case and is expected to announce their opinion this summer. Pepper Purpura, Gaylord News, Washington.
In preparation for the influx of new cases, the Cherokee Nation has invested $30 million into their justice system.
It's the third day of testimony in the trial of a former OU student accused of felony assault and battery against his ex-girlfriend. Gage Ford is charged with assaulting his then-girlfriend, Allie Stevens, when both were attending OU. Stevens was pregnant at the time and has since become a mother. She was on the stand today, and OU Nightly's Abbi Bennett was there to hear her testimony. Abbi joins us now live. Abbi.
Today at the Cleveland County Courthouse, Allie Stevens, who was assaulted by ex-boyfriend Gage Ford, testified in day 3 of the jury trial. The incident occurred in October of 2020 when Stevens was 10 to 12 weeks pregnant. Ford did turn himself in and post bail, and he is charged with 2 counts of assault and battery. Now what we know from today is that 2 police officers involved in the incident, as well as the nurse who treated Allie when she checked into Norman Regional the night of the incident, gave their testimonies and walked through their day when the incident did occur. Afterwards, Allie's mother testified, and so did Allie herself, where Allie shared details about her relationship with Ford that led up to the day of the assault. Allie's testimony is still happening behind me inside the courthouse, but be sure to stay tuned for all the updates with OU Nightly social media. Reporting live outside the Cleveland County Courthouse, Abbi Bennett, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Abby. Today, Governor Kevin Stitt vetoed legislation that would require his appointed cabinet secretaries and state agency disclosure forms. In his veto message, Stitt encouraged the Oklahoma legislature to make more holistic law that subjects all state lawmakers to financial transparency. Stitt says this should apply to all state officers, whether elected, appointed, or subject to retention election. The bill passed with overwhelming bipartisan support in both chambers. The author of the bill, Senator Casey Murdoch, says he regrets not talking to Stitt about the bill before it reached his desk.
And Oklahoma State Senator Nathan Dahm has filed 2 new bills similar to the Florida Don't Say Gay bill. One will ban anyone younger than 18 from undergoing gender reassignment surgery, while the second will prohibit teachers from educating students about sexual orientation or gender identity. This applies to those in kindergarten through 5th grade and puts restrictions on curriculum taught to all other students.
Now the latest on Russia's war on Ukraine. Russian energy giant Gazprom has suspended all gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria. This sudden change comes after the two countries refused to pay in Russian currency. Russian President Vladimir Putin introduced legislation in March calling for all gas payments to be made in rubles. Bulgaria receives 90% of its natural gas from Russia.
If we look at it from our perspective, Bulgargas, the state-owned entity, has executed the payment, and then the money got returned from Gazprom. It actually proves that Gazprom didn't want the money that are referring to the current month's invoice.
This move has raised concern that Russia may halt supplies to other European Union countries.
Now, Kolby, it was a sunny day earlier, but the wind has picked up, and I hear that makes perfect conditions for fire weather.
Yeah, Mikayla Smith joins us to talk about those fire conditions now.
Yes, we can see current temperatures across the state. We got to 90 today in Guymon, so definitely a warm day. You can see all the red winds coming out of the south on this map. Sitting right now, 73 here in Norman, 74 in Oklahoma City, so right now normal for this time of year. But yes, those winds have been pretty blustery out of the south. We can see current wind gusts 27 in Woodward. So luckily the winds have shifted just a little bit east of where the high fire weather conditions have been today. So here's that fire weather outlook for Wednesday. We can see part of the panhandle is in that elevated risk, but luckily we do have good news coming in the form of rain. So we can see our stormy days ahead. I'll have a timeline breakdown of that coming up, your weekend forecast, and then your first look into May, how they always say April showers bring May flowers. Well, here in Oklahoma, it just brings more storms.
Thanks, Mikayla. Now, less people are dying of COVID-19, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci.
We'll tell you what this means for the United States.
Plus, an investigation into Minneapolis police reveals discrimination. We'll tell you all about it on OU Nightly.
Today marks Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer's last day on the bench hearing oral arguments. Breyer, a Bill Clinton nominee, has served on the bench since 1994, and he announced plans in January to step down at the end of the term, which usually falls in late June or early July. With his voice cracking, Chief Justice John Roberts praised Breyer on Wednesday. He said the other justices leave the courtroom with deep appreciation for the privilege of sharing the bench with him. The Senate has confirmed Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to take Breyer's seat on the High Court.
And the era of the COVID-19 pandemic is over. Ireland Fitzer has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world.
Thanks, Jessie. As of today, the U.S. is officially out of the COVID-19 pandemic phase, according to Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci.
We don't have 900,000 new infections a day and tens and tens and tens of thousands of hospitalizations and thousands of deaths. We are at a low level right now.
Fewer people are dying of COVID-19 than during most of the pandemic. Fauci says although the virus won't be eliminated, the virus could be kept low if people continue to be vaccinated periodically. Minneapolis police have been engaging in a pattern of race discrimination, according to Minnesota's human rights officials. The investigation of the discrimination was launched 1 week after the death of George Floyd. The Department of Human Services has reviewed 11 years of information, including stops, searches, arrests, use of force, procedures, and training. The report also accused the department of deficient training, which emphasized the use of inappropriate levels of force. The World Bank is saying that the higher the food and energy prices could last for years. The spike in energy is the biggest since the 1973 oil crisis, and the jump in food prices has been the most since 2008. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has contributed to the shock in the commodity markets. The World Bank says these high global prices will not end until 2024. They are worried that these developments will lead to high inflation, high unemployment, and negative economic growth. And at the place where dreams come true, Disney isn't going down without a fight. Florida's plans to dissolve the Disney district could be coming to a halt if they don't pay off the Reedy Creek's extensive debt. Kolby, Jessie, back to you.
Thanks, Ireland. Today is an important day in Sexual Assault Awareness Week.
Stay tuned to find out how people recognize this day to support survivors.
Plus, we're in the peak of tornado season here in Oklahoma. Mikayla Smith is here and will tell us all about this hectic time.
Yes, definitely in the peak tornado season. We have a lot of showers on the way starting as soon as this evening. I'll break it all down coming up next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I want to start off on a little bit more of a serious note. 11 years ago today, we had the tornado outbreak that impacted Alabama. We can see there were 62 tornadoes that day in Alabama and 252 people lost their lives. So it was a very impactful day. So I wanted to take just a second to remember that here at OU Nightly. Also this weekend, definitely didn't see 62 tornadoes, but we had 5 tornadoes that were confirmed on Saturday and Sunday. This one in Pauls Valley was the highest at 85 miles per hour, all rated EF0s, and those were started in the afternoon on Saturday and continued into early Sunday morning. Around 2 o'clock was when the last one picked back up. So we definitely had an active week, and that's as we get into more of an active time of year here in Oklahoma. Our skyline camera right now, you can see clouds have started to build in. 72, those winds are still out of the south. That dew point is at 54, and those temperatures across the area as well, we are starting to see are warmer as well. 90 in Guyman today, so definitely feels more like summer out there than spring. 72 right now here in Norman, Oklahoma City. So like I said, active severe weather. We're in that time of year, April, May, and June. Those are our active severe weather seasons. So here's our outlook for this evening. Wednesday, we have a slight risk for the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas extending into Kansas. And then Thursday, we have a marginal risk that's going to extend just west of Oklahoma City and Norman. And then we're going to time this out just so you can start to see where some of that rain is going to accumulate. So this evening, around 9 o'clock, we can see some storms start to fire up. Those are going to continue to push off to the east, and we can see early in the morning, that's when we're going to start to have some stuff develop down here into the area. Some of that could impact us here. We could see some light showers, but Tulsa looks like it's going to be getting the most of that, and then that will continue to push off there to the east. Excuse me, our radar seems like it froze there for a second, but those storms will be coming. Friday is our bigger chance of seeing some rain though. So right now we have that slight risk here. That includes Oklahoma City, Norman, and Tulsa, but it's a very conditional risk. So we have factors that are in place for this. We can see we have deep moisture for today, and then that's going to increase as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Here's your Friday. So definitely plenty of things available, but we have something that called the cap. And that's what makes this very conditional. So if the cap is in place, we have that inversion layer. And if that warmer inversion layer is in place, we won't see storms. But if we can break the cap, if the inversion layer isn't as strong, that's when we can have storms start to develop, and they'll break the cap and they'll pop off. And then that's when we could see a stormy Friday. Now, I want to point out again, Monday, that's going to be our next chance of storms. Right now, Oklahoma City and Norman are in this. It's a 15% risk, so we'll continue to watch that. But we're beginning into May. And again, that's our very busy time of year, April, May, and June. So tomorrow, warmer, partly cloudy, conditional severe storms again on Friday. We have to break that cap if we're going to see any of those storms. And then as we go into this weekend, we will dry up a little bit, highs in the 70s, and then we have that next rain chance that's going to come by next Monday.
Thanks, Mikayla. If you're seeing more denim than usual today, there's a reason for it. The last Wednesday of every April is Denim Day, to stand in solidarity with sexual assault survivors and victims. The campaign began after the Italian Supreme Court overturned a rape conviction because the woman was wearing tight jeans in 1992. And people took to the streets in jeans to protest. The OU Gender and Equality Center makes sure to incorporate the campaign into their programming for the Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which is also in April.
Yeah, so it's a great way to understand what consent is, understand that what someone's wearing never implies consent, and that it has to be enthusiastic, it has to be coherent, it has to be verbally and non-verbally stated.
The GEC will conclude their programming for the year with their Crimson and Queens tomorrow at McCaslin Fieldhouse at 7.
And now we're going to hand it over to Brooklyn Sweet for sports.
Brooklyn, I heard OU just picked up some new hardware.
That's right. Oklahoma is welcoming home another Big 12 title and gearing up to draft some champions in the making. Stick around because sports is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Brooklyn Sweet, and let's swing things into sports. Today, OU crowned another team conference champs as men's golf took home the gold in today's Big 12 tournament. The top-ranked Sooners entered today's final round just one shot behind number 9 Texas. Redshirt senior Chris Gotterup secured the title after hitting a 2-footer 4-par on the 18th hole. Last night, OU baseball fell behind 3-0 in the first inning and were unable to catch up to Oral Roberts. The Sooners registered 4 hits and scored their only run on a wild pitch in the top of the 7th inning. Carter Campbell pitched a scoreless 5th inning, but the Sooners couldn't keep up defensively. This weekend, OU returns home for a 3-game series against Kansas State. With hopes to travel to Kansas City tonight, OU softball will not be playing due to inclement weather. Oklahoma will make their final road trip for tomorrow's game against the Jayhawks. Head coach Patty Gasso and the rest of the Sooners look forward to their last time on the road with this team.
It's nice to take this last road trip. We're going to turn it into a very enjoyable family vacation / work experience. It's our last time on the road, literally with our super seniors. So we really want to have a good, enjoyable, just memorable weekend.
If you haven't started your mock draft, time is running out. Tomorrow begins day 1 of the 2022 NFL Draft, and you might notice a few familiar faces. With the second most players in the Combine, the Sooners have 12 athletes making an appearance. OU ranks number 10 in the number of players drafted. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks season came to an end last night as the Miami Heat reigned victorious in Game 5. Even with the Heat missing a few key players, it was all gas and no breaks from their defense. The Heat scorched the Hawks 97-94 and will play the winner of the Philadelphia 76ers-Toronto Raptors series in the second round of playoffs. Ja Morant had a huge game last night with this game-winning shot, putting him back as our player of the week. Helping the Grizzlies erase an 11-point deficit, Morant couldn't seem to miss. Number 12 scored the last 13 points for the Grizzlies, including a monster dunk on Malik Beasley. Moving from the hardwood to the sidelines, the Morant family seems to stay in the spotlight. Ja Morant's dad, T, sat courtside with Usher and just so happened to match the superstar. Jessie and Kolby, I wish my dad was chilling on the sidelines with Usher, but for now, back to you guys.
Thanks, Brooklyn. Whether it's a deer or a pig, an animal in the way of traffic can be pretty dangerous.
But this animal made some new friends after scaring a few drivers in Oregon. We'll tell you all about it when we return.
I'm Snow Forth at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Today, former U.S. Marine Trevor Reed has been released from Russia in a prisoner swap. Reed was sentenced to 9 years in prison in July 2020 for endangering the life and health of Russian police officers in an altercation. Senior administration officials say Reed's release will not impact the U.S. approach to the war in Ukraine. Jessie, Kolby, back to you.
Thanks, Snow. Now, pig fans, get ready for a cuteness overload.
In Portland, Oregon, police found this porker in the way of traffic.
The portly pig gave them a run for their money on foot, so the police turned to their snacks to get close to their new friend.
Eventually, with the help of goldfish crackers and some cookies, they were able to get the pig safely out of the way and even take a few selfies with him.
And Mikayla is here with us for weather. Mikayla, with a pig that cute, we may have to change the expression to "it's raining pigs and sheep."
I'm cool with that. Raiding pigs and sheep, cats and dogs, same thing. I mean, whatever you can make a pet, make it a pet. As you look out the rest of this evening, you can see temperatures are going to start to cool back off, 74, but then we'll drop back into the 60s. So still a relatively nice evening. We'll have those clouds stick around as we go throughout the rest of this evening. But here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We do have some rain showers going to be possible early tomorrow morning. It will likely be north of us here in Norman, and parts of Tulsa will be impacted. Definitely going to be watching this conditional risk on Friday, and then we're going to see plenty of sunshine as we go throughout the rest of your weekend.
Thanks, Mikayla, and thank you for watching OU Nightly with us all semester.
Unfortunately, this is our last Wednesday show and our last show, but make sure to tune in tomorrow and Friday live at 4:30 for the final shows of the semester.
Have a good night.